Anti-Semitism is reaching a fever pitch around the world, and a new Anti Defamation League poll reveals that nearly half of adults worldwide hold elevated levels of anti-Semitic beliefs and attitudes, which is an estimated 2.2 billion people when the world Jewish population is only 16 million. Joining us via Zoom from the U.S. is Marina Rosenberg, Senior Vice President of International Affairs at the Anti Defamation League and former ambassador of Israel to Chile. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry it has to be under these circumstances.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
And indeed, I wish we had some better news.
This is nothing surprising. We know the rising tide of anti-Semitic violence behavior has, just been making headlines since the October 7th massacre, and of course, the over year-long war. But the fact that 46% of adults in the world hold these beliefs is quite alarming.
Yes, indeed. It's alarming and not surprisingly, exactly as you said. We've been seeing the number of anti-Semitic incidents going up, especially post-October 7th. And it's not surprising, to me at least, that the number of people that are harboring anti-Semitic attitudes is also on the rise. And basically what we're seeing here is a global emergency of anti-Semitism. We're seeing it from the Middle East to Europe, from North America to Africa, and it can come from anyone and anywhere.
Yeah, also given Jews, let's just think about it. In the world, Jews only represent 0.2% of the population. So how does the research of the ADL explain this ongoing escalation and problem, that we know of has existed for thousands of years? I mean, such a small minority, yet the majority is continuing to call for a lot of bad things to happen to the Jewish people.
Yes, indeed. So there are a few explanations to what is going on in this tsunami of hate and anti-Semitism. So first of all, the post-October 7th, we have been seeing a rise in anti-Semitism in a very alarming way. And this is not just since Israel entered Gaza, but this was immediately post the atrocities of Hamas in Israel. We've seen it here in the US, we've seen it in Europe, and of course in the Middle East and other regions. Secondly, social media. ADL's Global 100 was launched 10 years ago in 2014. And back then, social media was not as prevalent as it is today. And today, though it's a very helpful tool, it's also a helpful tool for the haters and the anti-Semites, and it emboldens them to share publicly their anti-Semitic views. And thirdly, what we call is the Al Jazeera effect in press and media around the world, where channels like Al Jazeera, but also Iran-backed channels like Press TV in Europe and Hispan TV in Latin America spread intentionally disinformation and anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist tropes against Jews and against Israel. And one important thing that comes from this survey that we just did at the end of 2024, 10 years after we launched it, is that the younger generation, the 18 till 34-year-old, harbor more elevated level of anti-Semitic attitudes. And basically what we're seeing around the world is a demographic time.
Yeah, and that is what is really so scary. I mean, we've seen it unfold before our very eyes on campuses, encampments, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian marches. And the fact is that young people, because of social media, are also impressionable, don't have the experience of, listening to your sources, trying to see if it's true or not. How do you stabilize this out of control wildfire? I mean, what could actually be done, if anything?
Well, there's some good news coming out of this Global 100 survey, and it's that the majority of the adult population in the world, 57%, think that anti-Jewish hate is a major problem in the world. And why is it important? Because this means that governments and international organizations should take this support of the majority and take concrete, innovative actions against anti-Semitism. And this is why ADL calls for a whole-of-society approach in fighting anti-Semitism, not just the governments, but academia, civil society, the private sector, and everybody in the general public should stand against anti-Semitism and innovate with new concrete steps against it.
Wow, thank you very much for your comprehensive summary of this situation. Marina Rosenberg, Senior Vice President of International Affairs at the Anti Defamation League. Much appreciated.
Thank you.